Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's AI Marketing Alliance session. Today, we're going beyond buzzwords and we're getting into what actually works. So today, we're diving into ABM strategy, AI integration, and what it really looks like to run campaigns that perform. And there is no better guide than our next speaker. So Trinity Nguyen is the CMO of UserGems, where her team is consistently driving 10 to 15% conversion rates with monthly ABM campaigns. Not once a quarter, every month. She's built a high-performing engine by combining smart strategy, scalable systems, and a sharp lens on how AI can amplify, not complicate, great marketing. So she's here to show us how it's done. And with that, please welcome Trinity Nguyen to the stage.
Thanks, Alex. That was really nice. I was like, oh, I want to turn on some music. Hi, everyone. My name is Trinity Nguyen. Thanks, Alex, for the intro. So I'm here just to share like what's working for us. And I think ABM is still a very hot topic amongst all of us, B2B marketers, sales as well. So would love to kind of share how we've been doing it, the lessons that we learned, and happy to share all the mistakes too, because we definitely made a lot of those. So on the chat side, Alex also is helping me, but like if you want to ask any questions, put it into the chat, put it into the Q&A. I'd love for this to be interactive because I can definitely talk to a wall about a lot of the B2B marketing stuff. So I think you will get the most out of this if you just ask questions that are relevant for your team or the question top of mind. So I can probably stop the presentation and answer your questions. So with that, let me see. Let me share some of the materials. All right. Can you give me a thumbs up in the chat if you see my slide? Just want to gauge how many people are in the room because I can't really see. Thank you. All right. Let me sorry. Right. Here we go. So, like Alex mentioned, so a little bit of like why I'm here to share. ABM has been actually the core program for us. We consider ABM as outbound because we go out there and knock on the doors of people, but it's actually done by both marketing and sales staff, sometimes sales as well. And this has been the number one, it's been one of the top 3 programs that generate our pipeline since day one of UserGems. When we were bootstrapped, only had about 3 to 5 customers. So we learned how to figure out how to make ABM work without spending a lot of money. And actually, in hindsight, looking back, I would say that ABM is the mentality. It's like how you think about go-to-market. It's not a fancy tool. It's not fancy technology, anything like that. I think where ABM works is where your revenue team as a whole understand that let's find a list of companies we want to go after and put all of our limited resources together so that we can maximize conversion rate. So the context is we've been running this for 5-6 years. And we're targeting right now about 600 accounts every quarter. And our conversion rate to opportunities has always been between 10 to 15%. This is sales opportunity. And it's consistently generating around 25% to 30% of our pipeline and then contribute 37 to 40% of our close one revenue. It's very rare for us to find close ones that has not been touched by our ABM program. All right, so I'm here to kind of talk about how we use, how we run our ABM in a cost-efficient way that actually works. Because I think timing right now, I mean, in this year, right? We probably hear this from our leadership team. We need to 2x this year because optimism's in the air. We got to grow again, re-accelerate the growth. But fun fact, or not so fun fact, with the same headcounts, the same resources. So efficient growth, we've heard this for the last 2 years, not new. What's new is now we also, a lot of us have the top-down mandate of also, by the way, use AI to do it. Not a lot of clear instruction of how, but got to use AI. We got to use AI, otherwise we're going to be left behind, blah, blah, blah. But this is kind of like a very common situation that a lot of us are in. So you're not alone if this is what you're seeing at your team. So for this presentation, I kind of want to share specifically for the ABM program, how we use AI to get there. So this is a typical ABM process, right? Like everyone here is probably very familiar with this. You build lists, then you prioritize. Then a big chunk of it is we're aligning with sales dev, and only the first 3 steps are done. That's when we go into like the fun part with the engaging. So engaging from the sales touch point standpoint, and then also the marketing. Pretty standard. So last year, when we decided to, around September, October last year, we wanted to figure out how to get our ABM program more efficient. What we did is we mapped out our process of our entire ABM program, almost like an assembly line, like step by step. This is a little bit cleaner version, but we went really deep into, if I draw out a mural chart of like everything that needs to happen for an ABM program to go live and perform well, what are the steps from A to Z? And I talked to the team to understand where are the pain points, where are the inefficiencies. And the tip to get the inefficiency is usually just ask your team, like, what parts you hate the most. And the team will tell you what parts is that they really, really hate, because it's just so inefficient and it's really difficult to do. So the process, high level, we always have a list of 10,000 ICP accounts. I know that not all companies have this clean ICP persona list. I'll share in the next slide like how you could use GPT, really simple prompt to get this. But for us, we've always had this list of 10 to 15,000 ICP accounts living in our Salesforce. Twice a year or so, we'll update that and see if we can find new accounts. Quarterly, the process of running our ABM is the ABM manager got to select the top 500 accounts, then bring that list to the SDR team to get alignment. Like, does this look good? Each SDR will review their list of accounts and see like thumbs up, thumbs down. After we aligned, then the SDR got to build out a list of contacts in those accounts. And then add those contacts to the ABM, what we call ABX sequences, very like ops kind of steps. And then finally, that's when we run ads, run campaigns, events, and then the SDR does the prospecting. So when I asked the ABM manager and our SDR team what parts they hated the most, from the ABM manager to the marketing side, the first 2 steps took a lot of time. And this is a program I've been running for 5-6 years. It's almost like a well-oiled machine at this point at UserGems, but it was really painful back and forth. Because when you have a list of 10, 15,000 ICP accounts, how do you pick the top 500? What kind of account scoring do you use? How do you make sure that SDR understands the logic of the scoring and not just a black box? So that when you pass the list over, there's not a lot of back and forth. I like this, I don't like this. I saw this nice company that just have a billboard on my 101. I want it to be in the list, like all those anecdotes. These 2 steps cause a lot of pain for our ABM manager. Then when I went to the SDR side, what parts they hate the most? These next 2 steps. So building a list of contacts, enriching them, finding email information. If you're targeting enterprise accounts, there could be 30 VPs that match your persona. How do we know which one to find? And this part is so painful. That's why, like, if you run ABM at your company and you don't see a lot of sales adoption, or they only pick 1 VP out of the entire ABM account, it's because of this part is so manual. It's probably 18 different tabs to do it. And then finally, add those contacts into sequences. This is literally just copy and paste. Not really sales, really. This is like data entry job. So I guess that's why the team also didn't like this. All right, so I'll get into the details of how we tackle all those inefficiencies in a little bit, but I want to take a step back because not everyone has the ICP account list like we do. So how do you use AI? If you start from scratch today, how do you use AI to build a list that the team and the companies agree on? So step 1, the basic stuff, define your persona. I think we all know this. Function, seniority, keyword inclusion, keyword exclusions. Please remember this one. In my past life, I was product marketer. So I worked with a lot of sales and ABM team on the persona side. People always think about function and seniority. They don't often think about exclusions. So keep that in mind. So here's a GPT prompt that you could use. What you do is you export out a CSV of your customers, the contact level with their job titles. Maybe Ops can help you do this. It doesn't have to be 100% complete, but just all of your close ones, export the titles out. You don't have to export their emails, name, etc., because of personal information. And put into ChatGPT. And here's the prompt you can use. Here's a CSV of job titles. Can you analyze it? Identify target persona, blah, 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 blah. You can copy and paste this directly into GPT, and it will give you your target persona ranked down from top, the most popular to least popular. All right. Next one is similar. So ICP. So employees, revenue, industry, geography, tech stack, etc. Same thing. If your CRM already has information for your customer accounts, get all the attributes out into a CSV as well. Use this GPT prompt so that you can build your ICP criteria. Really basic stuff. I know that for the account level, not everyone has all these details, but if you do, it will help you find your ICP persona. Super basic, but from my experience, working with a lot of companies, getting the entire revenue team to agree on ICP and persona is probably the challenge number one of running an effective ABM program. And a lot of companies actually don't agree on who their top 3 target persona or the ICP criteria. So please make sure that you do this part if you feel like your team has different definition of ICP and persona. All right. I'll go quickly over these steps because it's quite fundamental. So after that, you build list. Here's another GPT prompt you can use to find companies. Huge caveat. I've tried to do this a few times. I'm using GPT. It doesn't give you the complete list. You could use something like Clay or like the other data providers that's specifically for your industry to build this out. GPT usually will give you probably like 30, sometimes 50, and it kind of stops there. And it doesn't have a lot of the nuanced data points that might be specific to your target market. But here's a prompt so you can get started. Next one is the people. This one's you can try this as well, but this one is where the somewhat free version of GPT runs into limitations because it gets into the people level information. So say like, can you build a list of people at these ICP matching companies, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes GPT would say something like, I can't because it's private information. So you can specify and update this prompt saying using publicly available information, and it will give you some examples. So I would say use this as step 0, but I'd say like using data providers to enrich with emails, complete your list. I think this is where the free version that's where we can, that's as far as we can take it. And please make sure you to verify data accuracy. All right. So assuming you all have all that, you have the list of accounts, you know who you're targeting, your team's aligned on a top persona. Then we go into the inefficiency that I just talked about where our team experience. Prioritize. How do we prioritize account? So for us, we use signals. We've always used signal. And if you're not using it yet, I would highly recommend looking into the signals that are relevant for your industry to prioritize accounts and buyers. If you're just randomly selecting based on anecdotes or reps recommending or nominating accounts, I can share a war story. It does not turn out well because it's just anecdotes. AI can help with the science part of like marketing and sales. This is where AI really shine. And then we can spend our time being creative and being human to convert them. Don't use anecdotes to prioritize. So what are signals? In a very simple way, we kind of internally, we group into like 3 buckets of signals. You probably hear it everywhere on LinkedIn, and there are all kinds of signals. Let's simplify it. There's a people level signals. So does this person know you? Do they have any past relationship with you? So for us, we call it past champions. Are they persona matching in a buying group? They just got like promoted. They just got hired. They know someone who's in your customer base that can send you referrals. Anything that relating to a person. So that's a people signal. If you have contact level intent or contact level website visit, de-anonymization, that's people signals. Sorry, guys, it's a lot of B2B jargon, but put in the chat if you want me to pause anywhere. So that's people signal. Next one is the account signals. I think this is more familiar with a lot of us in marketing. So this is where website visits, intent, majority, like 99% of the time, like intent signal is account level. Unless you use vector for contact level intent. Does this account like compete with your customer? Are they hiring? They just close a massive round of funding. They're expanding. They just merged, acquired, et cetera, et cetera. So that's like all the signals related to the company. So those are the two. But don't forget the third one, which is a gold mine that you likely already have. Your CRM data is a signal. I know that we like to like throw out like phrase like first party data, third party data. So your CRM data is like first party data, but essentially what is it? It's like anything that you own. So if this account evaluated you in the past and somehow the timing, whatever, didn't work out, it's close loss, is a signal. They use you, there's some kind of change, and we all know how much change happened in the last 2-3 years, they churn. It's a signal. It's a signal that the account already further in the buying journey. They know you, they're a good fit, etc. So look into your CRM data as well as a signal. Any kind of call scripts, emails, meetings, we sitting on a ton of data. So take that out and use it as a part of your prioritization. So for example, let's get it real because that was a little bit hypothetical, right? Like theoretical. So for example, for us, the list of 10,000 ICP accounts, we check like which of these accounts right now showing intent, like they're searching for keywords relating to us. They recently visited a website, or they have any previous close loss opportunity with us, or they can be competing with any of our customers. So that's like account level signal stuff. This is just example. And then like any, does this account have any past champions? How many past champions in that account? Meaning the more people in that account that already use our products, that means you have a stronger base of champions to kind of build a business case and accelerate and converting this, right? Do they have any new hires and promotion? New exec hires usually means a shift in strategy, meaning they have budget, and also meaning they have to make an impact in the first 90 days. So this is a buying window. So more likely to talk to companies and vendors, right? So this is an example of how we kind of like just combine all these signals, give the ICP account score dynamically. So it's refreshed every month so that we know which one is the hardest, and we just grab the top 500 hardest accounts. So I'll show you how it looks like in a little bit and how you can start do this without being like overwhelmed, because signals is just a lot. It's just tons of data points out there. But one thing I want to call out here, because we're on a marketing webinar, when we think about account scoring, this is a pretty familiar concept to us. But to run ABM well, we always have to think about our sales dev or sales side. Because if we don't think about how they will action these accounts, how they prioritize these people inside the accounts, the ABM program will fail. So when we think about scoring, we think about how, on the ABM side, like we think about, on the marketing side, we think about how to score the accounts, but also score the people within those accounts. So when we pass the list over to our SDR side, they see the score of the account. They see the names of the signals, like why marketing picked these accounts, but they also see who in those accounts that scored the highest, ranked for them, the signals at each of the person. So it makes it really, really simple for them to see like, it's the job's already done for me, but I also know why you picked this account and why you picked these people for me. that helps a lot with the alignment between marketing and sales. And I'm on my soapbox here, but I talk to a lot of sales and marketing teams. And on the marketing side, we've been trained for like probably decade plus, think about programmatic. That means we only think about accounts because our tools enable us to kind of like do that at scale. But on sales side, I know sometimes we're like, oh, sales don't do anything. Actually, because their work is at the contact level one-to-one. So it's really, really mundane. So if we can make the job easier for them, that means we help ourselves and our ABM program succeed. So I'll get off my soapbox, but please think about the contact level too. So how do you score accounts to start? This is a Google Sheet that we built initially. And this is just an example of like different signals. For you, the row is going to be different because what signals you care about. So for us, we have like two scores, right? Fit score, signal score. Fit score is like, do they fit the ICP? And how well they fit it, right? So if we want to target larger companies, we give it higher score. It's all arbitrary, guys. It's not like scientific. They know data science was involved. We just arbitrarily think like, well, we learned that larger companies tend to be a stronger customers. So we give it more scores when they are bigger company. That's it. The type of tech stack. So you just give it some score for fit. Typically, fit scores don't change often. You don't really rip out the entire tech stack overnight. Companies also don't change in terms of like segment or employee band that quickly. So that's pretty static for like 6 months to 12 months. So that fit score, it goes in here. Signal score. So this one's a little bit more challenging because signals change. It could change month to month, quarter to quarter. So for us, like we picked out some of the signals. You don't have to read the text, it's just the different colors, different signals. And then we give it more like variation of scores. And that it feeds into the signal score. So, sorry. So if you can picture like a Salesforce report, each account has a field that say total score, which is just like a sum of fit and signal score. And because we have our signal data refreshed every month, this column changed all the time. And then so by the end of the quarter, our ABM manager goes into Salesforce, pull up that report. The account's already stack ranked top down based on the total score column. I hope you can follow me, but essentially that's how we did it. And we share this sheet with the SDR side as well, so they know what kind of signals, what kind of fit score we picked. We also share with the AEs so they know why we picked these, so that when the SDR pass over, AEs are more likely to agree because everyone's aligned. So very, very basic, very analog, not AI at all. The thing that we ran into once we had this going is we're like, oh, this is fun. Let's add more signals so that we can get even more precise. The problem is when you start adding more signals in, it gets really, really overwhelming for everyone involved. And we actually ran, our data science team ran this in the background for one of our study. And typically, like when you do it manually, teams like humans miss like 85% of buying signals. It just happens all the time. There's no way we can keep tab of this. So what we ended up doing, and this is where we start using tools. My tip is you can find a tool that works for you, but the step one is find a tool that can help you consolidate all of your signals into one solution. So whatever that is, but I know that some of us has already native signals like product usage, NPS scores, etc. So we have that. And then you're looking to buy other signals somewhere else, find a tool that somehow you can bring all of that into one place so that A, is easier to manage, you know what's going on. B, you can start doing the holistic signal scoring. So kind of like what we're showing here, this is just a much more robust view of like different signal variation. And all of these fields for us, we can go and then edit. So like the 500 score, the 2000 or 200, that's the score that you saw in the Excel earlier, that we could go in here and edit it. If anything changes throughout the year, we change our strategy, we can go in here and edit it. It should not be a black box. Prioritization is like precision targeting. You want it to be as precise and you have all control so that you can win more. If someone's selling this solution to you as a black box, I would ask a lot of questions and see if you can access that black box so you have some control. Don't rely on someone else for your targeting. All right. Since we talk a lot about signals, want to highlight one piece here as well, because we are on LinkedIn, we see a lot of information. It is overwhelming. I'd say for ABM, you really don't need a lot of stuff from the get-go to be successful. Start small and spend a lot of time tweaking it and making sure that it's accurate before you scale. Don't chase the programmatic promise or the scale promise. I know we have like pipeline pressure, but with ABM, if you blow it up out of the water from beginning with a huge tool, tons of signals, you won't be able to know where it's not working to fix, optimize, and therefore you can't scale. So on the data accuracy, and this one's getting into like the AI side of things. Information changed a lot, and for ABM, because it's probably one of the most cross-functional programs in the B2B. If we have bad data, we pass bad data over to the sales team, it erodes trust. That means no adoption. And we all know how hard it is to get sales team to like do the ABM program. So whenever you evaluate any kind of signal provider anywhere, spend time to vet the quality. Spend a little bit of time upfront so that you save time later on and money later on too. Compare the quality. Don't chase quantity. There are a lot of tools out there will give you like the waterfall, which is a lot of data. If you need anything, they say they can find it. That's cool, but I want the one that's accurate. You can find it, but if it's wrong, then it just ruined the entire program. So please spend time here to vet the quality. All right. So that was all of the like boring stuff, right? But we do a lot of the boring stuff upfront so that we can do the fun stuff later. So I want to share with you like how we run our ABM side. So the 500 accounts per quarter that I mentioned, we run it as one-to-one. So we run a lot of like ads like this, personalized using a logo, because we find that logo stops people from scrolling. So it's been running like this for like 5-6 years. It still stops people from scrolling. So feel free to give it a try for your program. And then for some of the premium, so like the top 10, 20, super hot accounts that we really want to put like all resources behind it, we also create hyper personalized landing page with the AEs doing like a customized demo, etc. Not using AI for this, by the way. It's just simple webflow. We just rinse and repeat the landing pages. And then this one I want to call out is, I think a lot of ABM managers, we measure to the point of the opportunities created. I think some are now also looking to acceleration, so that's great. So for us, we measure all the way until close one. So we run these multi-thread ads. So whenever an op is created, we dynamically grab the buying groups in those companies, even if they're not yet in the op, and advertise them and show this ad to them like, hey, someone on your team's talking to us, why don't you join the conversation? That helps AEs bringing more people to the discussion. That means bigger deal size, faster close, faster sales cycle. So I would highly recommend talking to your paid team to see if they can support this. And then we also throw in some events as well. So we have an ongoing event like executive dinners. I think a lot of ABMs doing this. So just kind of weave it in so it's more like integrated. All right. On the sales side, so like I mentioned, we got to think about the sales side too. So we want to make sure that we have a multi-touch, multi-channel sequence on the sales side. If you close to your SDR team, please take a look at the sequences, see if where you can help. If it's just a 1-2 email touch, not gonna make it. There's a lot of stat about, I think 33% of opportunities come in after step 7. So make sure that it's not just like email and bombarded, right? But you gotta scatter it throughout. Do some calls in there, some LinkedIn connection, engagement. If your team makes calls and they don't pick up, please drop a voicemail. That's another channel. People might not answer their phone, but they will read the voicemail. So remind your team there. So that's pretty standard sequences. Then we layer on some automation to assist our team with actioning. So for example, remember all those signals that we capture? One of those is website visit. So if any of the current ABM account land on our website, there's an automatic alert into our Slack, say like, hey, the account's on. Reach out to that person. That's it. And we spell out and this is, your ops team can help you with this. This is very simple. This is not AI. This is a person on the website, or this is an account. Is this person in sequence? Tag the SDR, even give them a tip to what to say, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just automatic. And then once they book a meeting, we have a lot of these automated alerts, like a day before demo, to make sure that the SDR reached out. We have like hey, let me buy you a coffee for the call, etc. Like, like those pre-demo nurture, send an alert. And then the SDR, it makes the SDR manager job really easy, because she can just go in here and check like the checkbox to see whether the SDR did it. It helps the SDR to kind of like manage their workload too, because all day they executing hundreds, sometimes thousands of activities. It's really hard to remember like what's going on. So we're trying to do these automation to aid the SDR side. So, less mental workload decision making. They just need to like, oh, I got to do this, clear it out the to-do list. I got to do that, clear it out. Manager can manage it, make sure everyone does what they're supposed to do. So that's on the sales touches. Oh, use gifting as well. Some industries are a little bit more sensitive with gifting, but you can send books if some kind of like monetary gift is not welcomed. Use gift, because it's again another touch point. Like when we're reaching out to our buyers are still human, right? There are only a finite numbers of ways to reach someone. There's advertising, there's calling, email, LinkedIn. Gifting is direct now to their home. So maximize all the channels that you can get your hands on. All right. So where does AI help with the sales side? A lot of us, we've seen bad AI emails. AI can definitely help the SDR side on the prospecting. Our team's been living it for the last 7-8 months now. But the way we've done it is a little bit different. So a lot of the bad AI emails we see online is just, I would call it lazy sales email. It's not really AI's fault. It's just like grab something like, hey, notice that you went to Northwestern, go Wildcats. By the way, how's the pipeline? That's just bad. Human or AI, that's just bad and lazy. Good AI personalization. So if you remember all the signal stuff we talked about upfront, all the hard work we did upfront, that feeds into the emails. That's how you make the emails really relevant. It's not personalization for personalization's sake. It's actually relevant, because these are signals that indicate the reason why you should reach out to these accounts and people. Why not bringing them into the emails? So like if it's a past champion, acknowledge the relationship. If the current customer account is a competitor of one of your customers, why not mentioning a customer story? If someone in that team talked to your team before, bring that up. So all of these signals, bring it into the emails. And that's how you make good AI emails. So like just behind the scenes a little bit, like why bad AI email exists is because it's just if then they script something on LinkedIn and they write, if LinkedIn says this, then write this. That's not AI. That's if then. We don't need AI for this. What AI can read does is like you throwing all of these signals, contacts in there. That's when it has to blend in together and decide when to write what throughout the sequence. It's not just an email. So something to keep in mind as you evaluate different AI solutions for writing, ABM or not, keep this in mind. Is it a real AI or is it just if then? So essentially, like a final takeaway is kind of like just start small, especially in ABM, experiment, get your team involved, and then you kind of scale. With AI, everyone's like racing to this like co-pilot, autopilot, all that stuff. can get there later. So what I want to show you here is this is our actual outbound programs at UserGems. We have different campaigns that we've been running. We start out with one, and then we build another. ABM is number 3 over here. And then it's usually just kind of like very manual beginning, like you saw the Excel sheet earlier. We're trying to figure out what works, what signals actually work. And then we scale it out to a little bit always on. So it's like scale out from monthly to then quarterly. When it works, then we're trying to be like, okay, how about like make it 6 months, etc. The goal for us is in order to scale efficiently without like having a huge team or a huge budget is figure out the inefficiencies in each of these campaigns, whatever campaign it is, ABM or not, and then identify where AI or automation can help so that people don't have to make as many decisions all the time and they can focus on the parts that's actually enjoyable. So over time, what you're seeing here is like these campaigns used to be kind of like a blip like this. And once we kind of remove all the inefficiencies, use technology to help people, it becomes this always on. So it's running in the background all the time. ABM, we run quarterly, so we still want to do themes. So that's why you see like this, like, intermittent. But ideally, who knows, at one point, it could be just always on. Once we kind of like always on these 3, then we're like, okay, well, now that we have the recipe to use AI, what else can we do? Then we look into like the low priority accounts. So if you remember the reports that our ABM manager used to grab the top 500 accounts, then we then looking at kind of like the second, third way to the bottom. These are accounts that have some signals, not a lot of high score. It's like down here, but we don't have human capacity to work these accounts anyway, but they're showing some interesting signals that based on our score, looks like they probably in a buying cycle soon, but we don't have humans involved. So that's when we put AI autopilot, low priority accounts to always run in the background without human touch. So that's how we do it, to kind of like layer up this layer cake program so that we can use, so we can scale our team without a huge budget. Last piece is this one. I think it's a good reminder for all of us, especially for leadership, because it's very easy. Once you start showing some success, it's very easy and fun for the team to be like, ooh, it'd be really cool to check like how effective is AI versus human. To be honest, internally, we like our leadership also is like, let's do like man versus machine kind of thing. Thinking is a fun thing. I would encourage to not do that, especially right now with AI and how fast it evolves. Job security is everyone's worried about that in any role, right? And you see all the headlines. I don't know if that comes, and I think all of us we're done and we can just chill and grow a farm somewhere. But for now, we need the team. Like ABM is it's high touch, right? You need marketing and sales. So make sure to celebrate wins as a team, AI and humans, to drive adoption. To be honest, like last year, our SL team was a bit worried when they knew that we start rolling out AI. I always mentioned that like this is not it. This is like you work together as a pod, but obviously everyone's worried, right? So you gotta walk the talk. So between me and the SDR manager, we make sure that any win we shout out with people. So like when it's a win, it's like Taylor and Jemmy, our AI, or like Jalen and Jemmy. It's always like that. When we shout out in front of the company every week, it's always a group. So after you do that for like 3-4 months, that's when the team actually believe that you mean what you said. And then that's when they lean a lot more into AI to help with their job. And when they have any close one or like book meetings from the AI, they was like Jemmy and me, da 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 da. So I know it sounds a little bit fluffy and soft and squishy, but one of the top reasons why AI proof of concept don't work, especially at larger organization, is because the people sabotage it, consciously or subconsciously. People might not tell you, but they might just resist it. So please keep this in mind. And that's it. I didn't forget to mention, introduce what UserGem does. So it's the last one. So I work for UserGems. We're an AI solution for outbound. So work with marketing and sales team to help scale outbound. I love talking about outbound. So if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to reach out to me. 75% of our pipeline the last 6 years come from outbound. So happy to help where I can. If you're interested in checking out UserGems, feel free to mention AI ABM webinar. And the teams right now is running a summer promotion. So $200 Airbnb gift card for a summer getaway. So please feel free to mention it and they'll send that to you. And
awesome. Thank you so much, Trinity. There's a lot to get into. I was taking notes and lots of amazing content. I know the chat was really going wild with it. First thing I think was really interesting was seeing each step that you had been doing before and all of the pain points, and then suddenly it's like solved with AI at each step. And what was really awesome is internally at AMA, we've been talking about doing a workshop just on like CMO prompting, and you've kind of kicked us off with that, which is pretty awesome. I know there was lots of screenshots going on, so really loved that. Before we get into the Q&A, I wanted to touch on something that you had mentioned, and wondering if you had any war stories from, I know you talked about signaling and some war stories on signaling. I don't know if maybe from the anecdotes or what, but if you had one or two to share, that could be, particularly enlightening to the audience.
Yeah, I'm sure all of us have war stories. So I think probably the most recent one, and I swear, I promise, guys, I'm not talking my book, but there was a quarter very recently where we're like, well, we've been running this for a while, so we kind of like bored of this approach. So why don't we spice things up and let's look for a list of accounts somewhere else that's brand new. Basically looking for net new accounts without following all the prescriptive steps that I just mentioned. Well, that quarter was a massive tank. It was horrendous. And you can ask anyone at UserGems, will tell you. It's very recent. And we're like, crap, like don't break things that's already working, you know what I mean? So yeah, we completely went back to the signals. Like, well, there's a reason why these accounts are ranked higher. We know the reason. Why are we doing this? So we were just chasing a new shiny. We had a vendor that's like, hey, these are net new accounts. It turned out it's actually not net new accounts. Some of these are like duplicates accounts against data quality. A lot of companies merged over the last few months, data quality kind of situation. And a lot of these accounts, they didn't have any signals. They just called because the net new were like, well, let's give it a try. The entire quarter. Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting. There's a follow-up to that from Ari, and is wondering, what tools do you use to consolidate those signals?
Yeah. The hard thing about when you talk to anyone at UserGems is because we use our tool from day one. So again, I hate pitching our solution because I'm not trying to. I can tell you some other tools that can consolidate some signals. But for us, we use it from the day one to kind of like build out the entire outbound platform. So we use that to consolidate. Actually, we're kind of like our number one customer. So whatever we need, we tell the product team to build. So that in a way, that's what we pull in. Any website visits, any hiring, any additional signals outside of UserGem, we consolidate that in, and then we score. There are some tools out there that can consolidate. Common Room is one. I don't know if they have native signals. I think they might, but they are known to kind of be able to like pull in a lot of like first party data, like community. If you have a big communities, if you're a PLG companies, that kind of signals and data, they can help you bring in, and then you can do a scoring. I'm not familiar with their scoring, but feel free to check them out. If you use, I don't think Clay would be good for this one. I think Clay, you can find data, but I don't think you can consolidate into one place without like juggling bajillion tables. So those are two. I think Matt could do some scoring as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And on that, I know, you spoke a lot about data and scaling, and especially trying to scale can be very difficult when the data is bad. And we have a question here from someone, and they say, we're dealing with a situation right now where sales wants to go wide, but our ABM data says to stay narrow. Is there any advice you would give me on how we can convince them to follow the data?
Yeah. How adamant are they? This one's hard. I lived through this before. I would say if they really adamant, they want to go wide, because I'm assuming it's like the number is so high, the team's behind target, right? So then at some point you do have to kind of compromise. I would say if you can't push back and you can't explain, like can't convince them of the reason why you want to go narrow. Ultimately, what you end up having to do is like probably 2/3 from your list, the signal based, 1/3 from the team, the sales team. The sales team does like to have freedom because they own their number and that's their take home. So it's very scary for them to entrust somebody else their performance and their take home. So if that's the case, I would say 2/3, 1/3, and then make sure you tag them. Like use Google Sheet, Opsim tag which one is the one that picked by the Signal ABM program and which one is anecdote by AE. Just tag it. Then measure performance in 3-6 months, and then go back and they're like, hey, see, it's working.
So a little bit of testing to get there basically. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We have sort of like a double question from Leonie here. I won't put it on the screen because it's a bit long, but I'll read it. I'll read the first one out. So she has two questions. First, how can we ensure that stakeholders on the client side actually make use of the materials we provide?
So how do we make sure the clients use the materials that the agency provide?
Yeah, and then maybe I'll finish the second. So second, how can we make ABM initiatives truly measurable and attribute success directly to those ABM effort?
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, attribution. Fun stuff. So the way we attribute, so depending on your sales cycle, if your sales cycle is 3 months, then I would use the same attribution period for the program. So the way we do it, we tag at the account. So we have a field at the account level that say ABX, and then we tag it with the month that we start running the campaign. Then we track like in the next, say 3 months, how many of these accounts become opportunities? How many of these accounts become close one? But we track at the account level, not at the contact level, not by channel either. So that's kind of like keep it pretty simple, and everyone kind of get it because it's account-based go-to-market. So I would say the first step is align with your clients or your sales team leadership on how long is the right attribution time, 3, 6, 9 months, whatever. And then second is like start tagging everything, and then measure it like that. And that's pretty straightforward. The slippery slope with attribution is when things go into like, oh, is it inbound or outbound? Is it marketing source or is it sales source? All of that stuff is the stuff that will break your ABM program. We don't care where they come from. And to be honest, I've seen so much, like so often in the last like 6 years, someone's read an email and we saw that they read an email back in the day when we track open rate.
Yeah.
Then they go into the website. We saw that they on the website. It's just by chance, right? And then they go into LinkedIn and they look for the rep that they worked with a year ago because this account has a closed lot. I don't know why this person does that instead of just hit demo or replying to the email, but they look for the AE that they worked with and then request. So if you track by channel instead of a contact and everything like that, it's going to look like it's an AE self-source. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really I'm nuts about like track at the account level. If it converts, it converts. Done.
Yeah. Makes sense. So we have another question here from Kate, who asks, what's your advice for teams that are AI curious but overwhelmed by where to start? Is there a safe first step that still delivers real value? And I think there's a lot of people, I mean, especially this being the AI Marketing Alliance, I think that's a question that a lot of CMOs come here with that in mind.
Yeah. I'm going through it. Our team's going through it right now too. So by no means I'm an expert. If anything, I think I'm very novice when it comes to like using AI. But the way we're doing it right now So if you remember the slide where I kind of assembly line the entire ABM from like soup to nuts.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking our team right now to do is think about your role, like what makes up your role, like pull up your job description and what are different jobs to be done as part of your role, and then see if you can assembly line like the entire role. Like for example, if you're a social media manager, what's beginning to end to get a post live or like a calendar, a social calendar, assembly line every step. And then that's when you can look into, okay, where are the low hanging, which one is the one most painful for me? And where are the low hanging fruits? I can just dabble a little bit to solve that one piece of this entire job to be done. Once I get that, I scale it out. Instead of looking for like, how can I automate this whole entire job to be done?
Yeah.
That's
And I
harder.
think, you said it really well in the slide with, pairing the pain points of your team members with even something as simple as ChatGPT. Like that's, I think, a very easy, safe way in where, for just $20 a month, you can basically say, hey, put in your leads list or whatever it might be and just see if it will at least ease the pain for one person's job and then kind of go from
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Yes. I think like the number one, I would like tip, I would say like, if your company doesn't pay for it, pay $20. We paid that much for Netflix, right? And just start using it naturally. I've been paying, but it did take me a little while to kind of build a habit to do something with it. Because if we don't, and then we on LinkedIn all the time, or we see like news and we see all these complex agentic AI that people build, and you're like, what's going on? That's not normal. That's like a
Yeah.
lot of people out there with like expertise and offering consulting services. You don't need that. You actually don't. You can ask GPT to teach you to how to write prompt to it. So take it out of your pocket, start using it for like silly things, and then you get comfortable with it. And that's when you can kind of like tackling pieces of your job.
Yeah, I think it is a snowball effect. When you first start, your prompts are maybe one sentence long, and then they end
Mm.
up like the screenshots that you shared, where they're, and I think the thing is too, it's everyone says this, it's garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have a great prompt, it's not really going to give you a great result. So I think you sharing those, and I know a lot of people ask for them, so we'll probably have to share them afterwards, but
Yeah.
we'll definitely share them through.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, it's not like maybe I'm just projecting because that's how I felt. Like AI is not like software tech that we grew up with where we don't touch the code.
Yeah.
It's a dialogue. So a lot of the prompts, it could work well for me like last year, but like now maybe things change. The cool thing about AI is that you can ask it like, hey, how can I improve this prompt to improve the quality? Like ask it back, like, how would you prompt yourself? And then it actually will tell you how to communicate with it to get the
Yeah.
result you want. So that works too.
Yeah, I've often I saw two sort of small things that they said to add to your prompt, which was one, act like the 0.1% performer in this role. And, from there, either ask me questions to make sure or until you're 95% certain that you can answer this, to that
Hmm.
ability. And then I think
Yeah.
that's how you start to learn and get to that
Hmm.
point. And I think that's probably the safest way, before, like you mentioned, before you get into all these like agentic tools that
Yeah.
are doing 500 things at once. And so actually, I mean, this we may have answered this already, but someone had asked, when you were first introduced to AI in the ABM process, what was the aha moment that told you this is actually working?
Mm, I'm trying to remember the big aha moment. To be honest, like the big aha moment for us when I felt confident that it's working was when I see our SDR reps sharing the wins that they work together with the AI. Because anything sooner than that, I'm like, this is good indicators, but success ultimately is when people is like, yeah, I booked this meeting, like Jamie sourced it, and we booked this with a call. When I saw that message on like a company Slack, that's when I'm like, okay, it's working because adoption is working. It also showed that like Our reps like to say that, oh yeah, I just booked a meeting on this call. Thanks for Jamie finding this person because I found all these signals and I can just play out on the call. So when I hear things like that, it's like, okay, so that precision targeting works. The AI does its job. That helps the rep doing the call calling, because we used to, like, our team was not great with calling. No one likes call calling, to be honest. Let's be fair. But they start booking a lot more because it's easier now. They have a little cheat sheet like why, from like the AI saying that why are we targeting these accounts and these buyers. We have like meetings booked from email sometimes that it's just like completely hands free from reps.
That's very
That's
nice.
crazy. Yeah. And when people, or like when we see, so some of our customers use AI pretty extensively too, when their buyers complimented the reps for doing good research, even though the reps like, it wasn't me, but thanks. So that's when you kind of like, okay, it passed the Turing test, like in AI, like, can you tell whether it's human or not? So I think that's what AI is doing the job. People's happy, reps hitting quota, exceeding quota. I think that's when we know. And it took about, to be honest, 3 to 4 months of iteration.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time, at least a quarter, to really start to feel that.
Yeah.
Is there a tool in that tech stack that you're using right now that you can't live without? That's, or one maybe that isn't worth the hype, perhaps?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to crap on anyone, but
no, I forgot to add a slide about our tech stack. I have it in one of the other decks. Our tech stack is really lean. So if something doesn't work, we kind of remove it really quickly. I think you can kind of sense at UserGem, like we're pretty nerdy and we just like take a look at things pretty carefully. So I'm trying to see. No, so I'll list out like our tech stack so you can see what we have. Now I'm kicking myself for not adding that slide for you guys because everyone wants to see the tech stack. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up really quickly in the 2 minutes we have. This is our internal. So ours really, really lean. So we have Salesforce, we have HubSpot for our marketing side. UserGems just run. It powers all of our like build list, signals, prioritization, email that we just talked about. So all of that there. On the marketing side, we advertise mostly on LinkedIn. We do have some other platform, but the main one is LinkedIn because of our audience. We use Canva a lot for all these one-on-one ads that you guys saw a little bit earlier. We templatize it. We have a VA to kind of like just spin it out like thousands of this in like 2 days. There are AIs out there that can do like these personalization because we have this program for like 6 years. We templatize so much. It's actually faster using human at this point than AI or retraining AI. We use Webflow for landing pages, etc. And our team's trained to use a lot of these tools. Any of us can kind of spin things up really quickly. On the ADR or SDR side, we use Outreach for all these high-touch, multi-channel sequences. We use Sendoso for gifting. Sendoso, like gifting is like integrated across all of our programs, by the way. It's not just an ABM. We like to send gifts because why not? Who doesn't like gifts? It's human. And then we use Orem for power dialers. So that's where the reps can make calls easier instead of like hitting their cell phone and calling one by one. And then if you guys remember, one of the program is low priority accounts. So like for the accounts, just not hot enough for people to spend their time on, we use AI to kind of like catch them. If they show any signals, then we use instantly because it doesn't hit our email deliverability. It's low touch. So that's basically it. So which one? I can't rip any of these out. so there's that. Because it's not a lot. So yeah.
And I think it's good to know that you're sort of fast in, fast out. Like if something's not working, just rip it out. It's not worth our time. That's a good way to yeah, for sure.
Oh, and GPT. I mean, GPT is just kind of like underlying. So
across all of them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we're at time. Would love to thank you all for attending and listening and for your great questions. And Trinity, thank you for sharing all of your insights and giving us a glimpse into how you are really crushing ABM at scale. So we definitely hope to have you again.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for dialing in.
Thanks. Take care.